He was the bossiest dog in town, strutting around like he owned the place. Utterly mischievous, yet nobody dared cross him. All because his owner was the town judge. So Buck grew up spoiled rotten, always causing trouble or on his way to cause more. Whenever that sound echoed through the house, the servants knew disaster was coming. Everyone scrambled to hide every bit of food, panicking, terrified they'd miss something. Until, with the last dish hidden, troublemaker Buck made his grand entrance. But his keen nose sniffed out the secret in the cupboard. He tried putting on a pitiful face for the servants, but they weren't fooled by his tricks anymore. Unsurprisingly, he was booted out of the kitchen again. Helpless against this household clown, the judge could only sigh, yawning as he dragged Buck out, and slammed the door before the rascal could slip back in. But Buck wouldn't be stopped so easily. He headed for his usual window route, only to be blocked by the judge, who pleaded, "It's my birthday, Buck. Just one day of good behavior." But before the words faded, a wild rabbit caught Buck's eye. The plea vanished like smoke in the wind. Returning at noon, he spotted the feast on the table. Better yet, the seats were still empty. Buck licked his chops. Time for a birthday surprise. Sometime later, he sauntered back, tail wagging lazily. He plopped down in the center seat, chicken drumstick in his mouth. Everyone froze, just as they feared. The table was a mess of plates and scraps. The judge slumped in utter despair until he noticed Buck had spared one drumstick. And so, for the first time, Buck spent the night locked outside. Little did he know this would be his last goodbye. Late at night, the gardener coaxed Buck into the wagon with food. Buck Knightley thought it was a game, and after a moment's hesitation, he jumped right in. As he turned around, the cage snapped shut. No matter how hard Buck tried, he couldn't open it. It was filled with regret, but it was too late. After being passed among traitors, when Buck finally saw daylight again, he found himself in a frozen wasteland, the edge of the wilderness, Gadway, Alaska. This southern dog had never seen snow before, and stumbled awkwardly in disbelief. Everything fascinated him, until he was thrust into a cage for inspection. Luckily, Buck's muscular build caught the eye of an African-American man, and so Buck met his second owner. They were a postal couple. The wife initially disliked Buck. Buck would save them from peril time, but on day one, Buck stood out awkwardly among the dogs. He resisted the harness his owner fitted on him, and once running, made a spectacle of himself, throwing the whole sled team into chaos. After some adjustment, Buck finally blended into the team, only to be distracted by a snow hare standing upright. And before he knew it, he tumbled into a pit. The sled team followed, dragged down by the clumsy. The team erupted in growls, and Buck drooped his head in shame. However, Perrault didn't scold him when he approached, but instead encouraged him not to lose heart. Fitting into the team takes time. For the first time, Buck felt a sense of belonging. Before long, after days of training, Buck mastered his skills and bonded well with his teammates. Except for the lead dog Husky, who was always hogging food and water, bullying others. Though not thirsty, Husky guarded the owner. He'd viciously chase away any dog that dared approach. The others could only bow their heads silently, angry but afraid to speak up. But Buck, the newcomer, walked to the ice before Husky, effortlessly carving a hole in the ice. Dogs rushed over, and Buck welcomed them all, generously sharing the water. Witnessing this, Husky didn't reflect on himself, but grew even more aggressive. He thought running fastest at the front would keep his master's favor, but a true lead dog must earn the team's loyalty. One day, while the woman scouted ahead, the ice suddenly cracked. The next second, she plunged into the freezing limit. Perrault rushed over, but by then, she was losing strength, sinking deeper. At this critical moment, Buck streaked like lightning, leaping past the man into the water without hesitation. In the gloom, Buck lifted the woman, then battered the ice with his body, until she was safely pulled out. But now Buck was utterly exhausted. As the couple shared a loving embrace nearby, Buck could hold on no longer, and drifted into the darkness. Perrault panicked on the ice, desperately calling Buck's name. After hearing the sound, he quickly located drew his knife, and began chopping through the ice toward the source. But the ice was too thick. After just 2 swings, the blade snapped. Perrault fell to his knees, never imagining that this pampered dog would risk his life to save his wife. When someone handed him a tool, Perrault grabbed it without thinking, and resumed chipping at the ice. Suddenly, he froze. Perrault turned, and saw Buck, the dog he'd been calling for, holding the pole. Spitz watched their reunion, his ears flattened in anger. Even a mistress, who once distrusted Buck, now welcomed him, offering him an extra portion. Spitz observed this from the shadows, knowing a final showdown was that night when Buck freed a trapped hare. Spitz pounced and killed it before it could escape. The husky then turned to Buck with a vicious glare, not knowing how humiliating his defeat would be. As Spitz advanced, the city-raised Buck trembled, paralyzed by fear. But Spitz attacked anyway, even though Buck was twice his size. Buck's soft upbringing had dulled his instincts, and Spitz quickly pinned him down. Victorious, Spitz performed a taunting posture over the dazed Buck. He then approached the team, seeking allegiance. But the dogs refused to follow him, instead howling to rouse their fallen leader. But no one expected Buck to rise the next instant, fangs glinting, his primal instincts fully awakened, baring his teeth ferociously. He terrified Spitz to frozen shock, determined to save face before the pack. Spitz charged recklessly, but Buck stood his ground now. Planting his paws firmly, he waited for the opening, then pivoted and clamped his jaws on Spitz's throat. With a mighty heave, Buck hoisted Spitz like a pup into the air. Pinning Spitz under his paw, Buck demanded submission. As the other dogs began to cheer, Spitz knew he was utterly defeated, under the pack's gaze. He rose and slunk away. Next morning, the team lacked a lead dog. Buck naturally took the front position, but Pero doubted his experience. Yet he dragged Buck back to the rear position. He brought an old veteran to lead instead. But sensing Buck's glare from behind, the old dog refused to wear the harness, refusing to roll. He flopped onto the snow, avoiding conflict altogether. Pero relented with a sigh, letting Buck lead this run. Gear in hand, Pero grumbled about being 2 days late, unaware that the sled team had transformed completely. "We are the champions!" Pero felt atop the world, cheering nonstop until his booming voice triggered an avalanche. His career plunged like a roller coaster into disaster. Pero's smile vanished instantly. "Buck, to the ridge," he shouted urgently. It was epic. "I'd hitch up and run a few laps myself." They raced like the wind for days, reaching town 2 days ahead of schedule, though the entrance could have been smooth. Oh, did you see that? That evening, off-duty Buck wandered the streets, watching people clutch letters. With beaming smiles, Buck felt he'd found his purpose. Next day, the sled team hauled a wagon full of longing. Amid cheers, they'd barely started when an old man hurried up late, needing to mail a letter. His words were painstakingly chosen, weighted with longing. Buck took the letter. Man and dog forged an unexpected bond. The sled team became legends overnight, but progress came swiftly. Pero's mail run was replaced by telegraph wires. Heartbroken, yet practical, they left the dogs behind. Pero later found good work with a wealthy family. But that's another story. The dogs were sold to a gold prospector needing mountain guides. He bought them for the treacherous trails. At departure, frozen ground immobilized the sled. The prospector blamed Buck's laziness and raised a club. Suddenly, an old man intervened. His interference spared Buck a beating, though he warned the prospector against winter mining. But the prospectors ignored the warnings and pushed ahead relentlessly. And so they stubbornly set out, facing an agonizingly steep climb. All while, the gold seekers kept whipping and shouting. One dog finally collapsed, causing the sled to begin sliding backward. Buck braced himself just in time, halting the slide. But the prospectors accused the dogs of laziness, lashing them viciously with their whips. Hearing his teammates being whipped behind him, Buck strained every muscle to hold the line. Exhausted beyond measure after the grueling trek, the heartless prospectors showed no mercy. Seeing Buck faltering, they deemed him dead weight. One man coldly drew his pistol to dispose of him. Just then, John arrived and shoved him aside, preventing tragedy. He took Buck in while the other dogs, still strong enough, were forced onward. The team gazed at their leader one last time, knowing they might never meet again. Days later, Buck awoke to find the river thawed, as John predicted. His companions were likely lost. Buck howled at the sky, praying for their safety. But grief filled the cabin too. John drowned his sorrows, staring at a framed portrait. As John poured another drink, Buck decided to act. He deliberately knocked over the glass, then snatched the entire bottle when John bent to clean up. "Now, what are you gonna do?" Outside, Buck playfully buried the entire bottle in the snowdrift. The old man chuckled, praising his clever dog. Beer tastes better chilled, but when he tried to retrieve it, Buck refused to budge, sitting solemnly in the snow like a guardian. Seeing this, the old man reluctantly gave up. It was his son's birthday. Since childhood, the old man had warned him against adventures, yet his adventurous son lost his life pursuing them, leaving the old man alone in the world. Buck nuzzled against him, as if promising to stay by his side always. Under the starry sky, they formed a silent painting, the old man and Buck. Sober the next morning, the old man, with renewed vigor. His son had been obsessed with a legend. At the map's edge lay a golden river where gold covered the land. Now, with Buck's help, he resolved to fulfill his son's quest, to honor his son's final wish. So they journeyed together, crossing rivers teeming with fish. Birds guided them by day, fireflies lit their path by night. As wildlife grew abundant, they reached the map's final edge, a place untouched by humans, though not covered in gold as legend claimed. The old man built a cabin to escape city clamor, deciding to settle here, but soon he discovered his mistake. While bathing, he pulled a massive gold nugget from the water. The Golden River legend was real. Buck immediately started digging with enthusiasm. Though he found large chunks, the old man explained, only this gleaming yellow was gold, but in a dog's world of grayscale vision. Buck triumphantly fished out a fist-sized nugget moments later, but seeing the old man ignore him, Buck thought this was just another worthless rock, and tossed it straight into the water, only stopping when he found a nugget of similar size. He dropped the gold nugget into the old man's bowl, then eagerly sought praise, making me want to tear my hair out. Just then, a beautiful white wolf appeared in the distance. Seeing Buck's longing gaze, Grandpa urged him to follow. But while crossing the woods, he encountered an enraged giant bear. Fear kept Buck at a safe distance. When he finally caught up, his courage faltered. Buck nervously panted as the white wolf approached. He offered a paw gesture like humans do, but the wolf didn't understand. Their first meeting ended abruptly, but seeing matching paw prints later, Buck knew they were kin. Back at camp, Buck moped, clueless about courtship. So like many lovesick pups, he silently trailed her. Even a glance made his heart race. Meanwhile, the alpha wolf poised to strike, until a misstep sent him tumbling into rapids. Packmates raced after him, but reached the bank, only to hesitate before the raging current. That's when Buck charged forward, found the perfect entry point, and plunged in. The gray wolf was safe. This act earned Buck the white wolf's respect, and the pack's acceptance. From then on, he hunted with the pack. While back at camp, John feasted daily, pheasant today, salmon tomorrow. But the old man realized, watching Buck thrive among the wolves, he knew Buck had found his true home. But where did he belong? In the end, the old man decided to return where he truly belonged. Before leaving, he threw the gold he'd collected, keeping only enough to sustain himself. Learning of the old man's departure, Buck felt a deep sense of loss, yet neither selfishly asked the other to stay. But on the eve of his departure, the prospector unexpectedly tracked him down, having discovered the map the old man left behind. The two men grappled, but the elderly man was no match for him. Soon, a shot struck the old man's abdomen. The old man scattered the gold from his pockets at the prospector's feet. But the greedy man was unsatisfied. He pointed his gun, demanding the location of the Golden River. At that moment, Buck charged in, lunging at the prospector and knocking the rifle from his grasp. But seeing the man brandish a club, Buck felt a surge of past trauma. As the man swung, Buck's primal instincts took over. He clamped his jaws onto the weapon. Then, without hesitation, Buck drove the prospector back into the raging fire. The cabin collapsed moments later, consuming the prospector in flames. But the old man was now heavily wounded. Buck heaved the man onto his back, urging him to hold on. In the film's closing, the old man returned to civilization, where he penned Buck's story into a book. Ever since, whispers read of a golden-furred alpha reigning in the deepest woods.